Welcome to the community.
My name is Noraa. I am a multidisciplinary artist from Providence, Rhode Island. I am a visual artist. I am a musician, a performer, a writer, a poet. I put events and sort of rituals together. So I do a wide range of activities, but I like to think that I have some sort of driving force that's behind all of these different practices.
What is that driving force?
I like to think that I am making work that takes like the written word and like the embodied experience and turns it into a powerful tool for liberation.
How do you see liberation?
How do I see liberation? Wow. I see it as everything, and also I see it as something that we've only gotten to experience in short bursts before. But the moments of liberation that I've felt in my life have made the other moments of my life worth it in a lot of ways.
What did those moments of liberation feel like, those spurs of moment?
They felt like they felt really cool. They were like moments when I felt like all of the walls and barriers sort of came tumbling down, and I was able to connect with my friends and with strangers just on a really human level. Sometimes it was through ritual, sometimes it was through riot, sometimes it was through, risque humor. Sometimes it was through laughter, sometimes it was through weeping. But there are these occasional moments that we get in this life when human beings feel not alone. And not only do they feel connected to each other, they feel connected to their ancestors and to all generations. And they have this sense of radical possibility.
And you connect that with your practice. What led you there in your life?
That's a great question. I have been a creative human for a very long time. I really, even as a kid, I was making these bizarre little word puzzles for myself and writing these little stories and drawing these little pictures and singing my little heart out. I like to sort of do book art and make little hand-bound mini artist books sometimes. And I have a really, really falling apart sketchbook that I've been working on for a couple of years that I'm trying to fill up and like paste as many things into and collage my way into maximalism. And I also am really obsessed with like the written word, and I'm a writer myself.
Mm-hmm.
I am a poet. I feel really good being able to claim that for myself for a long time. I mean, I wrote poetry for a long time before I realized that I was a poet and that it was okay to call myself that. I think one of the things that really can be a problem for people who aspire to do any kind of artistic practice, people who aspire to being a poet, to being an artist, to being a musician, is they say, oh, well, I'm not making money at this. I'm not a professional. I'm not able to support myself through this, and therefore I am something else first. I'm not a poet. I am a person who dabbles, a dilettante. But I think that is a very cynical way of looking at creation, and I think that only reinforces the idea that like artistic work that is marketable and capitalizable is the only real artistic work. I don't think that's true at all. And for a long time, I am an ephemeral poet. I don't really have almost anything published in, literary journals, or, I certainly don't have like a formal chapbook out in public. I have little zines that I've put together myself. I like doing everything myself if I can. And the process of laying out little strips of words on a physical page with glue sticks and scissors is really delightful to me. And it's something that I have really enjoyed as part of the process of writing itself. And it also is very challenging sometimes to be able to point to my poetry and not really have like a digital trail for people to follow. And yet I've been working on this stuff with my whole heart and soul for 8 years longer.
What communities did you encounter growing up that were there for you, and how did you have to change them in order to feel good?
When I was younger, the punk scene in Providence was thriving. It is not anymore, and that makes me very sad. But I went to these crazy warehouse shows that were probably, some of them were dangerous, some of them were ridiculous, but all of them were beautiful. Yeah, I think the pandemic really robbed us in some ways of like spaces where people could go be freaks together and do performance art or noise music or some strange avant-garde drag performance. But I really have to believe, in order to get through the trying times that we've been going through the past couple of years, that there will be a time when we can meet in crazy warehouses and spaces and do things entirely on our own terms again. Music used to be, I would say, the biggest part of my practice. I had an act called Visibilities where I would write songs on the piano and sing with them, and sort of use a variety of different vocal styles, sort of centered around my countertenor, my trussetto. I am able to sing in a range that perhaps my body was not intended to be able to sing in. I consider that to have been the first step of my transition as a child. When I noticed puberty was onsetting, I was really scared that I would lose this like angelic little kid voice that I had. And I was scared that, as the armpit hairs began appearing, that I would lose my capacity to make this beautiful music that put me in touch with my spirituality and with my gender. So I started doing all of these scales and just sort of teaching myself how to continue using this voice.
The community work that you do when you say create your own communities, and spirituality, how those two things intersect in your practice?
So I'm Jewish. I was born Jewish, and I grew up very religious, and then drifted away from my spiritual practice as I grew older. In high school and early college era, I sort of renounced it and just didn't feel any kind of connection to it. As I sort of grew up and sort of became a more political being, I realized that a lot of the things I had been told about the state of Israel didn't vibe with my politics as a leftist, as an anarchist, as someone who's opposed to imperialism. And also I noticed that once I came out as trans and once I was presenting more queerly, I didn't feel very comfortable in the synagogues and spaces that I had occupied as a child. I've never, I have no training in those spheres. But I decided, I could probably figure that out. For 7 years in a row, I have been chanting this beautiful prayer at the beginning of Yom Kippur called Kol Nidre. I realized one year that I wanted to hear it being sung, but I didn't want to go to a temple that I didn't feel necessarily welcome in to hear it. So what did I do? I decided I will sing it. And to sing it, I will do so in my dirty basement. There will be 4 people there. I will be wearing a wig for some reason, because, it was the messy early first couple years of my transition.
How did it feel to do it?
So liberating. So empowering. And, I didn't really... to me, it was kind of like, this is an art piece. This is a performance thing. I'm not doing this for spiritual reasons. This is performance art or something. But it didn't feel like performance art. And then I did it again the next year, and I was like, oh my god, people are coming to this not because they want an art experience per se, but because they want a spiritual experience. And it just kind of took off like wildfire from there. One of the things that I'm most proud of, that I sort of took upon myself to do in the wake of the Pittsburgh mass shooting of the Tree of Life Synagogue, I gathered upwards of 200 people together by City Hall, downtown, and led just a sort of normal Shabbat service that was simultaneously a memorial, a ritual, and a protest. Sort of like protesting the rise of fascism that we've seen in our country. That is ultimately what has mattered for me. When I am able to connect people with the things that they crave and yearn for, that is when I am most satisfied.
And it sounds to me like one of the things that make these experiences profound is that they are tied in with identity.
Yes, yeah. Identity is a big part of it for me. I mean, I am never compromising about the fact that I am trans. I am gay, obviously. I am wearing a hat that says dyke on it. I am a woman. I am disabled. I suffer from mental illness. I'm fat. And I'm Jewish. I make no attempt to hide any of those things. Those are things that, in many ways, I'm proud of. But I also don't think identity is the end-all, be-all. Right. I think that they're, more than just my individual identity. I am a member of a community. I am a member of many intersecting communities. I am a member of tradition. I think that in any kind of space that I am running, I want people to be able to feel safe. Because it's only through being safe with each other that we're able to be dangerous together. I want to do dangerous things. I want to take risks. But I want to do so in a way that everyone has consented to, and that everyone feels able to participate as fully as they can. More concretely, I guess some steps that I like to take, trying to, whenever possible, host events in physically accessible spaces. I don't think there is such a thing as a safe space. There's no way that everyone could be guaranteed that harm will not happen to them in that space. There's no way that I can guarantee that people are going to have a good reaction to the things I'm saying or to the rituals that we're doing. But there is a way that we can sort of meet people where they're at and listen to people about what they need and try to make it better.
What are the things that you that could help you as an artist if you want to dive deep into that?
What would help me as an artist? Space. Space would help me a lot. If there were more places where we could easily get studio space or a space to put shows together, make events happen, if there were more places that were sort of available for usage by people who don't have a lot of money, or maybe even people who have no money, it would be really, really powerful to me to have a place that I could go, a designated space where I could make my art, where I could make weird sounds and do weird things with keyboards and stuff. If there was this magical room that I could make noise and mess in, I feel like my life would be able to be a lot cleaner on the outside. It feels kind of like a shame that like there isn't more institutional support for people who were born in Providence, were raised in Providence, and are in it for the long haul. I happen to think Providence rules. Providence is like a really cool town that meets a lot of my needs. But there are a lot of things that I wish were different about this city. And there are a lot of things that, you know, if they don't change, I probably will not be able to live here forever.
And what are the things that you need here to change in order for you to be able to stay comfortable or well?
I need more space. Mm-hmm. I need more resources. There are so many wonderful people who I don't know and haven't gotten to know yet because there just aren't very many shows or parties or opportunities for people to connect in an organic way anymore. Yeah. And I don't want like networking mixers, you know what I mean? Like, no, bad. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. What I do want are like authentic like ways of like just like getting together to celebrate and to do something exciting. I really want to meet new people in the city again. I brought a couple of little things to show you. One is this calendar that I made, and this is a queer Jewish calendar that sort of has some, you know, illustrations I've done demonstrating different parts of Jewish life, different holidays and sort of seasonal activities coming together to celebrate and enjoy life. I think that queer joy is something that we don't really see all too often. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to show scenes of people enjoying each other's company and presence. And yeah, having their little moments of resistance, like in this really crazy riot picture that I have, which is about the holiday of Purim, in which a sort of biblical proto-fascist dictator gets overthrown, in which I think a lot of people who don't like Nazis can find a lot of radical messages in.
There's a writing on the top right. Is that, what language is that?
Oh, this is actually in Yiddish. It says Daloi Politsei, which is the name of an old anarchist song from like 1905 Russia. It's hey, hey, Daloi Politsei, which means hey, hey, down with the police, down with the Tsar and his regime. I think that, yes, we are going to have to take more political action. I think that we are going to have to do things that are more like activism with a capital A. I also think that like art will, not only will art, you know, serve a vital role in the future as like a tool of showing what's going on, of documenting the atrocities that are almost certain to be coming, the atrocities that have already happened. But I think in a even more real way, just like we are going to have to write songs to get us through. We're going to have to like make something that gives us a little bit of hope, or even if like we think like, oh, we're doomed, like the climate is a disaster, our country is sliding into Christo-fascism, our economy is fucked, everyone has to work 1 billion jobs and like has no money, and you know, like, and nothing is going, like, or not nothing, because I have to believe that there is a way to solve these problems, a way that, you know, a lot of people don't want to imagine, which is real revolution. I firmly believe that each and every moment is charged with radical possibility, and if we don't embrace that radical possibility, we don't get to live out the full potential of each moment. I'm really grateful to have done this interview with you. It was nerve-wracking and delightful.
Well, I'm so glad you took me up on your invitation. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad it worked out. Yeah.